Tango Audio.
I'm Steve Balderson, and you're listening to the Filmmaking Confidential podcast. In every episode, we meet with filmmakers, writers, actors, artists, and other notables.
In today's special bonus episode, I sit down with one of my favorite teachers and spiritual thinkers, Connirae Andreas. Connirae Andreas, PhD, has been an innovative leader, teacher, and author in the field of personal development and Neuro Linguistic Programming for over 4 decades. Connirae and her late husband, Steve Andreas, were early developers of NLP and wrote and edited many of the first NLP books and training materials, helping to bring NLP into the mainstream. She is best known for creating Core Transformation, a groundbreaking method that turns our limitations into a doorway to experiences many describe as love, peace, presence, or oneness. Her most recent work, The Wholeness Work, offers a gentle yet precise way to dissolve stress and ego-based patterns, resolving life challenges and opening the door to deep emotional healing. Connirae's discoveries were shaped both by a life-changing encounter with Dr. Milton Erickson in 1979 and by her own multi-year health crisis, which led her to explore the teachings of Indian sage Ramana Maharshi and uncover a profound path to healing and awakening. Ladies and gentlemen, Connirae Andreas.
What is the wholeness work?
What it is. Okay, so in one sentence, wholeness work offers a practical and simple and gentle and kind path to actually have the life we want and experience life the way we want to experience it. That sounds like a lot, but basically, and it is, but basically it gives us ways to reach the structures of the unconscious that have not been mapped out. So let me maybe start a little different place with this, because wholeness work maps out for the first time in this kind of specific, precise way, what are the structures of the unconscious that actually hold suffering or problems in place. And then once we can find those, it also offers a very simple and gentle path towards healing and transforming. So people tell me when they come to wholeness work, many people tell me, for some people, perhaps they don't resonate right away with it. For some people, it takes a little more persistence. But I think what we're onto here is universal. And many people do tell me, this is what I've been searching for my whole life. This is what I wasn't even sure existed. I've tried so many ways of changing, and this is finally helping me. So, and then other people, so that's people who've been searching for emotional healing or just changes of our life, resolution of our life issues, our problems. Then there's a different group of people who come to wholeness work because they are interested in shall we call it awakening? Let's just call it that. People are interested in spiritual growth, awakening, meditation, mindfulness. Those people often tell me something similar, but more in their terms, what they say is, I've been meditating for maybe decades, however long. I've tried all different kinds of spiritual growth, of different kinds of meditation, and this is really helping me. I'm finally experiencing what I always hoped I would experience. So maybe I should be quiet now and let you talk.
Well, for me, I mean, the core people who are listening will be artists of some sort, and or filmmakers or interested in those things. And when I first did the wholeness work, it was a week or two before I was about to work with someone I didn't really care to be around. and I just used that as my feelings for this person and my hesitations and sort of not eager to work with this person.
Yeah.
And
perfect content to work with for the exercises and wholeness work. Yeah. And then what happened?
Well, it was really great because when I finished just the first round, just the very, very first round, I had none of those uh, negative feelings for that person. In fact, I don't know if I had any feelings for them one way or the other. They were just sort of a simple, oh, I don't have those anymore. I'm not carrying those around.
Yeah.
The feelings of anxiety or feelings of uh, not wanting to work with them. I just said, oh, it'll without those, without the feelings of the negative response, I was able to then move through working with them without any of it. And it may not have changed them at all, but it changed my response to them.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah. So, and thank you for sharing that. And so well expressed. Yeah. That's the kind of shift I have experienced too in my life, in my own ways. The emotional reactivity that I used to have for various people. And when I find myself triggered, I just basically take a moment, process it using wholeness work, and then I come out with what you're describing, kind of a sense of neutrality, a sense of presence. So it's not like it. I think what it does, what wholeness work does, the way I just think about it is, it removes the filters between us and reality. We have
Mm,
all these filters that sometimes people share with me. It's as if the air became clearer, and I
mm,
could see things more clearly. And I think that's what happens. We after our emotional responses are cleared, our reactivity is cleared. It's as if our beliefs and assumptions are cleared, and it's easier to just see reality as it is, just see another person as they are, and without our interpretations overlaying it, or our fears or whatever. And then we can do whatever we want. Then we have more choice. We have more choice. Like, I can decide, oh yeah, now I can work with them in a clean and clear way. Or we can choose, you know, I don't think this is quite a right connection. I don't think I want to work with this person. We can make that choice, but it becomes easier and easier to, if we choose to go separate ways, it's easier to deliver that without blaming and judging.
mm,
You know,
mhm.
just it's less about, oh, you're bad, so that's why I'm leaving. It's more like, oh, I get, this doesn't quite fit for me anymore. I think I'll do something else.
I love that you went there, and I was I was prepared to talk about this later on in our discussion, but I think we should just have it now, which is um, as an artist, as a filmmaker, a writer, any person who I think is creating something, judgment is a big hurdle. You know, having it, whether it's self-judgment, judging others, or the fear of being judged. And I'm wondering if we could talk a little bit about how judgment plays a role in preventing wholeness, and if the wholeness work can free us from
Oh
these
yeah,
things.
that is a great topic, Steve. Really great topic. It's and this feeling of judgment holding us back or getting in our way, it applies to all of us, artists and not artists. It's in the clients that I work with, in the people that come to my workshops, people from all different career paths, judgment is huge. There's the self-criticism, the feeling of unworthiness. It's just a part of so many human problems. So judgment is a specific focus of wholeness work practice, and it's the second phase.
Mm-hmm.
The first phase is what I call, I'm just going to say it. It might sound weird, but the first phase has to do with dissolving the ego, or dissolving the limited self, the limited self experience. Because when it comes down to us, each of us has an experience of ourselves. I'm not talking about self-concept, that's what we think about ourselves.
Mhm.
Self-concept is my opinion about myself. It's like, oh, I think I'm this way or that way. But the actual experience of self at the unconscious level is something most people have no clue about. But it's really easy to discover. And maybe we can do an exercise together about that
Yeah.
in this interview, even where I can show you what I mean and guide the listeners on what I mean by that. How we find this experience of limited self, and then we release the limited self experience so that we do. That's phase one of
Yeah.
wholeness work. Find and release the limited self experience, and then we are able to really experience that kind of presence that you spoke so eloquently about. Just being, I'm just here and I'm just
Hmm.
available as with all my resources, uh, just just here, just present. So that's the phase one. Then phase two, then we start working with what I call the unconscious experience of authority, the inner authority experience. And that's at the root of shame, embarrassment, self-judgment, self-criticism, unworthiness, all of that. So important. And people often describe how empowering it feels to do that second piece. And we
Hmm.
get to that already in it's in the third, let's see, one, two, three, four. It's in the fourth session of the Wholeness Work Level 1 live online. When I do the
Cool.
live online training, it's all part of the level 1 training, the first training that you can get.
I'm really bummed I didn't get to come to Amsterdam when you were there
Oh,
earlier this year. I had just moved to Spain and was stuck here
oh,
without, I couldn't go with my visa hadn't gone through yet. And so I was stuck in Spain. I couldn't leave the country.
oh. Oh yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I missed you there. So you're in Spain now, and
Yes.
my next European training is going to be in Germany.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I am expecting to be back in Amsterdam again after that. So
Cool.
yeah,
Great.
I come
Well,
once a year to Europe.
excellent. Well, tell us, let's back up and explain how it came to you, like the series of realizations of figuring out, was there trial and error? Was there, things that you were sort of fiddling with that were working and some weren't, or how did it come about?
Yeah, yeah. Great question. Great question, Steve. It came about through desperation. And I say that because I think that was an important beginning. It was important that I felt desperate because that meant that I was willing to let go of everything I thought I knew. So I was already an expert in NLP. I was a successful trainer. I I had a training of core transformation at that point. Core transformation was already discovered, and people were coming from around the world to study here in Colorado with me in core transformation. And then in the middle of that, I had this health crisis, I guess we could call it. Um, I wasn't sure what to call it. I thought I was dying. And all of a sudden, I was recovering from something. It was pneumonia or bronchitis. It was some lung issue. And I was very sick, but then I was recovering. But instead of recovering at a certain point, rather than just getting better, suddenly it was as if I plunged into something else. And I didn't know what it was, but it was the experience was that 24/7, I had this constant surge as if there was an electricity running through my central column. It was so intense that it felt like my body probably couldn't withstand it. So that's why I thought I was probably dying. I thought, I don't know what this is, but maybe this is just what dying feels like. You know, I don't know. I've never died before. So that I can remember anyway. So I went to doctors. They had no idea what it was. And finally I realized, well, I didn't die. So probably maybe it's not that. At least it's not going to kill me off immediately. But I had the feeling, I had the sense that if I was going to survive this, because this electricity, this charge, it was so intense, I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't I couldn't sleep, I couldn't think, I couldn't my digestion was disturbed. It's like everything was disrupted. Pretty much all I could do was lie down in a dark room still, and hope that it would kind of subside. But it wasn't subsiding. So I would rouse myself, go to see doctors and so on, and that did not do anything for me. It didn't, they had no idea what was going on. And then oh, did you want to say something?
No, I'm just
Oh,
I'm enraptured.
yeah. So that and led me to, so then I went to alternative healers, and nobody seemed to have something to offer that would actually resolve this. There were a few people who could do the very, very gentle ones who could do something that would help settle me temporarily, but nobody had anything that could help me resolve this. So I had this thought, if I have a chance of staying alive, because this is surely going to kill me eventually, it's just too intense. So if I have a chance of staying alive, I think my best chance is if I am going to give up everything that I think I know, everything, and just open myself to something new, something that I don't yet know. And I had no idea what that is, but I've got to open myself to something new. And then I started exploring I started in a very slow way because I didn't have the mental stamina to do anything very fast, but I began exploring in what we could call the spiritual domain. I wasn't up for going anywhere for a while, but I was reading. I was interested in reading accounts of people who had experiences of awakening. They called it awakening. And the reason I went to the spiritual domain was because I'd already been through graduate school in clinical psychology. I was an NLP trainer. I had explored pretty much everything out there in the psychological area to date. So I thought, I haven't explored spirituality. Maybe there's something here that could benefit me.
Hmm.
So let me just look. And I wasn't so much interested in taking on a belief system, but I was interested in understanding this thing that people called awakening. So some people describe this experience, and the way they described it was quite fascinating. It's like they were seekers, they wanted something, and then often they described this kind of breakthrough where there was a shift in consciousness, where it went from the regular neurotic experience that we've all had, I think, of just having our usual fears and anxieties and stresses, and went from that kind of experience to having a shift where they described a kind of well-being, a kind of, as one philosopher put it, I forget who, the peace that passeth understanding. Or is that in the Bible? Where's that from? I'm not
I
sure.
don't know, but it's great.
I don't know, but that just popped into my mind. So I thought that sounds interesting. And the Ramana Maharshi is one of these key spiritual teachers that I did not go study with. He wasn't even alive anymore at the time, but I could still read about his teachings. And he had this teaching, who am I? Who am I? Find out who you really are. What he said was find out who you really are, and all your other problems and questions will fall away. That's what basically he said.
Mhm.
People would come to him with troubles, some with psychological issues, stress. I'm upset because I'm grieving, or I get angry too much. Or some people would come with emotional issues to him. Some would come with practical issues. Even they would say, "All my crops have died, and I don't know how I'm going to feed my family. What am I going to do?" And
Mhm.
then others came with spiritual questions. They said, "How am I going to? I want to know God. How do I do it?" You know, and he basically, the interesting thing was he had the same answer for all of these questions for all of these people. And his answer was, it started getting so repetitive. I got tired of reading the writings. Because it
Mhm.
was simple and it was repetitive, but it was basically, find out who you really are, and you won't have these questions.
Okay.
And I'm going, find out who you really are. And you went, what does he mean by this? And he had this practice to ask, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Until you suddenly, it reveals itself, your true nature. And whatever this was, this true nature, it was supposed to be something, this kind of well-being, this kind of equanimity, this kind of deep peace where the normal neurotic worries and fears and anxieties and self-criticisms, they don't exist anymore.
Mm.
And I'm sure he didn't mean to be saying, if you find out who you really are, you'll suddenly, your crops won't fail anymore.
Uh-huh.
He didn't have that kind of control. But I think what he recognized was that even with practical problems, when we have this certain shift in our consciousness, in our experience of who we are, then somehow even the practical things don't weigh on us the same way. And it's easier for us to see solutions if there are any.
Mm.
Because we're not bogged down in criticism. Oh, my crops are failing. I'm a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't go, my crops are failing. Oh no, I'm so worried that I'm losing all my energy in my worry, and I don't have the energy to do what I need to do with what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
So even in the practical area, it doesn't mean everything practical is automatically worked out, but it means that we're going to be in our best resourcefulness. We're going to have our best chance of working things out.
Yeah.
So that inspired me, and I thought, okay, if there's any way to have this shift of consciousness, I'd really like to have this. So I started sitting with spiritual teachers, hoping that I would pick it up by osmosis. I'm just going to sit here, gaze into their eyes, and then maybe it'll kind of come to me. And I could, while I was sitting with teachers, experience a kind of well-being, but I didn't find that it was making this fundamental shift in consciousness that would endure.
Mm.
So I started playing around on the inside. And here's where my background in NLP helped me, because I from my experience and as an NLP trainer and so on, uh, I just had this natural, almost instinctive tendencies to find a precise experience-based way to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what wholeness work ends up being. It's a precise, experience-based way to do what I think the same thing that Ramana Maharshi was speaking of, so that any of us can have that shift in consciousness, like what you described, of going from being nervous and, caught up in the drama of
Mm-hmm.
something, and just realizing that all that drama stuff, that actually it doesn't have any basis. It's not real. It's an
Yeah.
illusion. All the drama stuff is made up. And
Right.
when I find the way deeply to let go, we can't just talk ourselves out of the drama. Most people have tried. We can't go, oh yeah, it's not real, just let it go. That doesn't work.
Right.
That does not work. And here's where also I've talked to so many people who've come to me, said, you're giving me a way to actually do what my spiritual teacher has been talking about this. But when I ask, how do I do that? They don't really have an answer.
Mm.
So now you're giving me a way to actually shift my consciousness that works.
That's so cool.
I can feel it in the moment working. So, and I do want to add that
Mm.
the way the wholeness work, it's not a 5-second awakening, like do it once and now you're done. It's not that kind of thing. I consider it a gradual awakening, but it's an inevitable awakening, if it's an inevitable shift in consciousness if one does follow the exercises more than
Mm-hmm.
once, if one uses it as it's kind of like, do you want to be able to eat all the food you'll need in your entire life and just be done with it, be done
Right.
eating? Well, most of us wouldn't say, sign me up for that. It's enjoyable to eat every day. And
Yeah.
the same thing is true of a wholeness work practice. It feels nourishing. It feels like a luxury that we can just enjoy this practice a little bit every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leads to what I call a gradual awakening.
Well, I think for me, it's been something very much so. Some days it it allows me really some breakthroughs, sometimes, and sometimes it's uh, just sort of a really lovely calming. It's something that's just sort of, it just feels good.
That really mirrors my experience too, Steve, of using the practice, because this is something I continue to do, use as a daily nourishment.
Hmm. It's really good. Do you want to sort of explain or sort of tell us just some of the first steps, or guide us through?
Yes, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. And then each person can just discover what happens for you, and you get a little feeling of what I mean by finding the limited self. And yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So um, let's just dive right in. Here's the way to start. This isn't exactly the way I did it the first time, but it's the exercise that I came up with that makes it easy for anyone to experience this same thing. So if we just find comfortable position, and yeah, if you and I do it together and we can share our experience, and then all of the people watching this can follow along if you like. It's simple,
Great.
it's gentle. So here we go. We just get in a comfortable position, maybe take a deep breath just to settle in a bit. And then notice any body sensation, really any sensation at all. It can be positive, negative, or neutral. And for me, right off, I'm just notice a slight tingling that's in my butt basically, and my upper thighs. It's a place where my body is contacting the chair I'm sitting in. But then I just am aware of this tingling sensation that's in the space right above that. That's just what popped into my awareness immediately.
Yeah,
So,
I'm getting a tingling in my upper right shoulder. When I sat back and got comfortable, I was really aware of how tense that was.
okay, perfect, perfect. So again, for everyone watching, you can find a sensation that's neutral, that's positive, that's negative, or doesn't fit any of those categories. Any sensation is fine. You can't do this wrong. So, okay, perfect. And then we notice the sensation, then we notice how much space it takes up. So for me, I was beginning to describe this. It's kind of like maybe an inch or an inch and a half thick, and going all along the lower part of my body where I'm contacting the chair. So in my butt and in my upper thighs, it's kind of like both sides of my body. And for you, the right shoulder.
It's it's kind of nebulous. I mean, it's not very big, but it kind of has, it reaches.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So it's kind of, and you're gesturing with your hand to show the shape and size. And there's this sense of where it's mainly located, and then it's like it reaches, you said. So it maybe
Yes.
extends a little bit in different directions.
Hmm.
So perfect, perfect. And then what we do, and each person following along, you can notice the space that it takes up, the sensation that you've noticed. It could be like a churning in the belly, maybe, this big. It could be something in the chest somewhere. It's like, oh, there's this tiny, tiny little burning space right in the center of my chest, or something in the head, oh, there's something, I don't know what it is, can't put words to it, but it's right there in the middle of my head. It can be anything. Okay, so and what's if next we sense in and through for the sensation quality? And what is the sensation quality you notice? Well, you mentioned already a kind of tingling, and I
Hmm.
also noticed tingling. And it can be, just for people watching, the sensation you notice. It might be a tingling, it might be a vibratiness, it could be a heaviness or a lightness. There could be a sense of stillness, there might be a sense of motion or movement, bubbling. It really could be anything. Warmth, coolness.
I would describe mine as dense molasses.
Like dense molasses. Great, perfect. Okay. And for me, tingling with a little bit of warmth. Going to add that to it. Okay. And that's plenty. And now, what we do, all of us playing along with this exercise, we think to ourselves, I am aware of this sensation. Whatever sensation you just notice in the body, you notice it now, and then you think the thought, I am aware of this sensation, because that is a true thought in this moment, right? I am aware of this sensation. And then we just ask ourselves, and where is the I located? Where the I that's aware of this sensation? Where is this I located? And just notice whatever location comes into awareness. This is a weird question, no doubt about it, it's fine. But if you just notice the sensation and then think, I am aware of this sensation, and recognize that's true. Yeah, I am aware of this sensation. So where's the I located? And then go with the first location. And what comes up for you, Steve?
Just here behind the other side of my head, on the left side of my head, it was just sort of like that's where I was perceiving this from.
Okay, great. Kind of on the, yeah, left side of head. Is it on the outside of your head or inside, or some of each?
It is on the outside, and
Okay.
it's roughly the size of my hand.
Okay.
Um,
Size of the hand. Perfect. And for me, I'll just share mine also. What comes up today is um, it's sort of a cloud-like shape that's mostly in my head, but a little bit above my head too. There's not precise border or edge to it, but it's sort of this cloud-like shape um, that's partly in my head and partly above. That's what came for me, the answer. And each person following along with us, you can notice what answer happens for you. When you notice the sensation, think, I am aware of this sensation. Where is the I that notices? Where is the I that's aware? And just go with the very first location that comes into awareness. And it's fine to guess. The other thing to be aware of is that sometimes it's just a location, and it's not like we have to see something there. We just become aware of a location, and that's enough. And I want to again say there's no wrong answers to this. All the answers are good. So the answers that might come up it could be in the body or in the head, in the torso. Once I had somebody say it's in my left big toe, you know. Not so typical, but it's fine. That's what he noticed.
mhm.
So it could be inside the body, it might be outside the body. Sometimes they're around the head somewhere, like you found, Steve, today. Sometimes they're far away, even outside the body. And again, that's fine. Once I had somebody say, it's miles away, it's way far away. But somehow we tend to know what direction, and we know it's way far away, miles away. So that's just fine too. Okay, so now we've got the location for the eye. And now what we do is we notice the size and shape. You and I have already shared the size and shape for ours, Steve. And notice the size and shape. And then sensing in and through the space, we notice what I call the sensation quality of what's there. So, and by sensation quality, I mean we might find something like, I'm sensing in and through, and it's just space. It's just this airy, empty space. It could be that. Or it could be, oh, I'm getting this fogginess or fizziness or vibratiness, or it could be airy. There might be motion here, could be stillness. Sometimes there's a sense of light or dark. Um, it really could be anything. So, as you sense in and through for yours, Steve, what do you notice there? What's the sensation quality there?
It's light,
Yeah.
as in weight, the weight of its light.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's fuzzy.
Fuzzy.
It's a little fuzzy,
Uh-huh.
like a long-haired cat or a long-haired carpet of some kind. Like it's a little
Uh-huh.
like the strings, there are strings of some kind on it.
Okay, interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And for mine, this time mine is kind of when I first found it, it seemed like just empty space. But now when I go back and check again, there's a sense of cloudiness
Mm,
actually, like some fog or something in the space, and a slight gray coloring to it. So that's what I find. And
mm.
now I'm going to go, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go one step farther than I usually go on these warm-up exercises, just to make
Okay.
it a little more interesting. And then because usually these eyes that we find inside, they're not standalone. And this is something also that's important. There are a lot more subtleties to it that we won't get to in this warm-up exercise, but we'll get to this. We'll add this one in. And they tend to be in layers. So there's not just one. If we find more of them, more of the layers, it results in an easier, more gentle, kinder, and more complete change. So let's just do that. Let's just, if that's okay.
Great.
So now here's how we do it. It's very simple. We notice the first eye that we found. You notice yours, I notice mine. And then we say to ourselves, we think the thought, I am aware of this. And now you fill in the blank with whatever you discovered. I am aware of this kind of foggy sensation here, or I'm aware of this, whatever it is you're noticing. And then for you, it'd be, I'm aware of
Mhm.
this, what was it, this light, fuzzy,
Yeah.
airy kind of stuff. I'm aware of this. So, another true thought, I'm aware of this. And then we go, where's the eye that notices this? And just go with the first location that comes into mind. And what happens for you, Steve?
Well, it was interesting because it my instinct was that it was up and
Uh-huh.
to the other side, outside of my head,
Uh-huh.
looking and perceiving, observing that I,
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that interesting?
yeah.
Okay. And this on the other side, you're kind of gesturing in a curve. Is that the shape of it?
Well, it's very airy. It's
Very
very light.
airy.
So it's kind of not a shape. I mean, it's there.
Yes, yes. It doesn't have any distinct edges or borders. Yeah, but it's in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And so it's very airy, very light. And I'm just going to take a pause to do mine too. Where's the eye that noticed this? Oh, okay. What comes in for me this time is it's farther out, and it is also more nebulous, kind of like, and it's almost like it's a light. It's like a warm glow. That's kind of, well, it is warm glow out here in front and to the right and above. It's kind of pleasant. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I find. And each of
Cool.
our people following along, you just notice what you find. And it's okay to pretend. It's okay to make it up, even if you don't know if it's real. That can be a good way to start exploring with this. So, okay. So now we're ready to shift to start discovering what I call the integration phase. But before we do that, it's important that we go back to that sentence, I am aware of this sensation, and we explore that middle word, awareness. We've already explored the I, we've found what it means in our experience. We've explored the sensation. We found out what that means in our experience. We know where it's located, its sensation quality. So we haven't explored that middle word, aware. I am aware of this sensation. So, what is awareness? And for this exercise, for the wholeness work, it helps to experience awareness in a particular way. That it's very easy to experience. I discovered in doing this, that as I started guiding other people besides myself, I started discovering that everybody had their own individual way of experiencing awareness. So unless I guided them in what I was meaning by the exercise would have unreliable results. So what is awareness? What I mean by awareness is the capacity to experience. The capacity to experience. And I'm going to guide you through that, guide everyone through that. We know that awareness exists throughout our body because we were just able to find a body sensation. So if we experience, if somebody taps us on the shoulder or bumps us on the knee, it's not that we have to send our awareness there to notice. There's an automatic noticing, right? And that's because awareness is already present through our body. So, and so we might just pause and experience that now. This awareness, this capacity to notice, this capacity to experience that's throughout the entire physical body. So that if there was a gentle tap on the shoulder, there'd be an automatic receiving of that sound, of the automatic receiving of that sensation. Now, if we check, that same awareness also exists in the space all around us, in the space, we could call it a field of awareness that's all around us. And we can know that because if there's a sound from the left side, if somebody calls my name, there's going to be an automatic receiving of the sound. If somebody calls your name from the right side, you wouldn't have to send your awareness out to get it. There would be an automatic receiving of the sound. That's just how it works, right?
Yeah.
So we each of us have this capacity to experience that's through our body. It's through the space all around. So that if there's a sound, even from fairly far away, if somebody's yelling loud enough, there's just going to be an automatic receiving of the sound. And the sound could come from any direction at all, from above, below, right, left, front, back. And there's the same easy automatic receiving of the sound. So, and with our eyes open or closed, we know we have a sense of this space that's all around in every direction. And we can experience this as the field of awareness, this experience of space all around in every direction. And then our subjective experience, it doesn't have any edge or border. So if I just sense this space all around in every direction, in my subjective experience, there's no edge or border. And that's significant to recognize for the process we're about to do. In reality, in the outside world, if somebody were to call my name from the other side of the world, I wouldn't hear it, right? At least I'm convinced I wouldn't. But in my subjective experience, I can't find any border where I go, okay, if the sound's on this side, I'll hear it. If it's on that side, I wouldn't. So our subjective experience is what we're exploring here. That's what matters here. And there's no edge or border to this experience of space, this experience of awareness. Yeah. So now we go back to the exploration. We go back, we all found a starting sensation. We found the first eye and we found the second eye. So let's go back to the second eye that we found, each of us. So for you, Steve, that was that place on the right side that was more kind of airy, very airy, no edge or no shape exactly. For me, it was that sort of that sort of warm, sunny thing out there. And for those following along, it could be anything. But whatever it is, notice the sensation of that second eye that you found. Notice this energy there, the sensation itself. And then notice what happens if the sensation of the eye here is invited to open and relax, to just dissolve and melt in and as the fullness of awareness that's all around and throughout. And then just allow whatever happens to happen. And I'll follow along with that too. I invite that to, yeah. So for me, as I invite that to open and relax, what happens is it begins to kind of like, it sort of spreads out. It's and I found myself just spontaneously taking a deep breath as that happened and letting go and just feeling a little bit more relaxed inside. And it's still continuing. It's not quite done. But as it continues, I'll ask you, what did you notice?
It was like a gentle wind, kind of.
Mm.
Uh, Now, when I say it broke it apart, it didn't break it apart. It just went into the wind, but it was
Yeah,
all,
yeah,
it
yeah.
just
Kind of
around.
dissolved into the wind.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Okay, and then each person following along, you're going to have your own experience. It might be similar to what Stephen or I has described, or it might be completely different. And I just want to validate that whatever you experienced is always the right experience for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. And even if nothing happened, if nothing happened, that's the right experience for you. And in the wholeness work training, we get into what that indicates you need to do. That just is whatever happens, it's a clue to us for what the next step needs to be, because the wholeness work is designed to completely adapt itself to you, to each person. So okay, so the ears dissolved and melt, or kind of went into the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so now what we do when we allow that to settle, and I will add that probably, well, everybody's experience is unique. Probably the most universal theme, what tends to happen, is if it does dissolve and melt, then we tend to feel some kind of body relaxation. Did you feel
Mhm.
anything like that? Does that fit for you or not?
I did. When it was going like that, I was like, oh, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just sort of sank into my chair in a different way.
Yeah. For me, it definitely happened. For me, sometimes it's more pronounced, other times it's really subtle, or I might not experience it at all. But this time it was kind of pronounced. I really felt that relaxation. Yeah. Okay. Great. So now let's go back to the first one. Now each of us goes to the first eye that we found. So for you, that was on the, let's see, the left side of the head, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, and for me, it was right inside my head here. Yeah, so we go to that one now. This go to the location of the first eye, and the first thing we do is notice if it's the same now as it was before, or is it a little different now? And how is that for you?
Mine is a little different. It's similar, but it's
Hmm.
lighter and there's more. There was a color before I didn't mention that was like a lime green, and it's a little bit more yellow and golden now.
Interesting. Yeah. So often when the second eye dissolves and melts, it changes the first eye without our attending to it specifically before we even get there. So, and for me, what seemed to happen is mine became more invisible. I would say there's not much there anymore. It's more like space. Uh,
Cool.
Okay, and then what we do is we invite whatever's remaining in the place of the first eye, the sensation there now, we invite that to open, relax into awareness. Just let that happen however it does. Yeah. And then give it all the time to settle when everything's settled, then we're ready to go back to the first sensation that we started with, the body sensation that we started with. And just notice what's there now. Is it the same as it was before, or is it a little different? And how is it for you, Steve?
It's much different. It's not thick like molasses anymore. It's still present, but it's uh
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have the words. It's just, but it is different. It's much more enjoyable.
Much more enjoyable. Okay. All right. And now if I go back to mine, um, mine is I'm not going to be such a good example here because mine was a very neutral sensation to begin with, and those are less likely to change. Um, the ones that are more either positive or negative are more likely to go through a bigger transformation. So
Mm.
mine is it's less pronounced though. I do notice that. I'm finding it less pronounced. I have to really try to find it.
Cool.
So okay. So now let's pause and go, well, what were we doing there anyway, right?
Hmm.
Like that's a weird experience. What we're even doing there. Would you like me to share a few of the principles we're getting at here?
Yes.
And then, okay, I'll do that. Um, because here's how I think of it. We're all born as babies. And by the way, there's more about this. I go through this more carefully in the book,
Hmm.
the Wholeness Work Essential Guide. And also, of course, we do more in the training and just make sure it connects for each person. But here's what happened, why it matters. When we all come, when we're born, we have baby consciousness, we have no sense of self. A baby is, and developmental psychologists will tell you this. I learned this in clinical psych grad school decades ago, and the thinking is still the same. Newborn babies don't have a sense of self. Their brain hasn't maybe they don't have enough experience yet to develop one. So for the new baby, it's just experience happening, light, sound, sensation. And there's not even a differentiation between the baby and the mother's breast, for example. It's just sensation, it's just experience happening. Then at some point, we do develop a sense of self. And this is functional. It's important for us to have the recognition that I am different than the world around me. This is my body. We need to have that to be able to get along in the world. For example, if I'm thirsty, I need to know that this cup of fluid here is separate from my body, and so that I can understand that the solution is to actually drink a sip, you know, and then
Hmm.
by my body is the one that needs it. so that's functional knowledge, to know that I am a separate self. In terms of my physical body, it's separate, it's different. But we all acquire this sense of self at the unconscious level in a completely different way than we would ever make it up if we did so consciously, if we did so intentionally, because these unconscious senses of self that we develop, they tend to be these blobs in space, like you and I were finding, and
Hmm.
probably those of you listening also found. We found, so if I go to a party and somebody says, who are you, Connirae? And I go, oh, I can tell you, I'm this, like, it's a cloud like thing that's half in and half out of my head. And they're going to go, what? What drug is she on? um, but so it doesn't make sense to our conscious mind, and yet at the unconscious level, we're living as if that's true, as if this is myself, this is my I. And the thing is, it turns out that these unconscious experiences of self are literally a constriction of our consciousness. They are similar to a hand in a fist. It's through a tensing or a tightening that they are created. So if we have and yet these unconscious experiences of self, they're not really true, are they? It's not that I really am this place in space that's a little foggy. That makes no sense. So what would be a truer sense of who I really am? Well, I don't claim to be a philosophical genius or anything or have the absolute, ultimate answer to that, but I know that surely who I am is going to include more than this. It's going to, at the minimum, include all of my neurology. it's going to include what we just discovered as awareness, this experience of this capacity to experience that's through the body, through the space all around. It's surely going to be that's much closer to who I really am. And
Mm.
who I really am is going to include all of that. It can't be less than that. So, what we're doing is going for taking the false experiences of self that we find on the inside that have been unconscious. Like, where's the eye? Oh, it's like here. Or, oh, it's this place in my chest that's about this big. Well, that's not really who we are. That's not the complete truth of it. I mean, it's a piece of who we are, but it's not the whole thing. So, if we invite that to open, relax, dissolve, melt into all of awareness, then we're letting something that had contracted inside, like the hand could contract into a fist, we're allowing that to relax again, back into the whole of everything. So we're relaxing something at a deeper level than the muscles. We're relaxing at the level of thought and even at the level of unconscious thought. That's what's happening. And then, does that make sense? Do you have
It's so great.
anything you want to ask or challenge
Well,
or?
and just being, just like the wind. I mean, I almost sometimes look at one tree and another tree, and yet they're just being trees. I don't know how to. It's
Yes, yes.
just it, you know, and
They're just being, aren't they?
yeah,
They they've arrived. They don't have to go anyplace.
right, right,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it allows us to relax into this presence that includes our entire nervous system. That means we maximize the resources we can bring to any situation.
hmm
When we're operating out of an eye that's more restricted or limited, in space, and it's also literally limited in terms of beliefs. We don't have to know what beliefs are in there, but these eyes that are smaller than the fullness of space, they always have limiting beliefs in them.
hmm
So when we allow them to relax, it's as if our limiting beliefs are just we're letting go of them, and we're back to just being present here as our
yeah,
full nervous system. When our full nervous system is available, there we have a lot more wisdom, a lot more capability. This literally improves our emotional intelligence because we are just bringing all of our neurology online. And parts of our nervous system that had been used up for an old contraction that's no longer relevant, that is released. So it's like many people have told me, that what they feel when they do the wholeness exercises, it's a little bit like restarting a computer or how the
mm-hmm.
computer this I don't know computerese very well, but I know how it used to happen even more than now. But if lots of programs stay open and are running at the same time on the computer
Yeah,
screen, things start getting buggy. Nothing works as well as it can. And then if we just close them all out and maybe restart the computer, whoa, voila, suddenly it works better. The same computer, the same that we had a moment ago. And that happens with our own inner, um, with our nervous system. When we have these programs that some of them have been running there since childhood, they got installed and running since childhood, and they're still running in the background, and they're using up part of our operating systems. What do you call it? The RAM or the
hmm
I'm not sure what the right name is for it.
I don't know either, but yes,
The geeks among us will know what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
But like we're using up this part of our memory, devoting it to these programs that are not really relevant to the current day, but that was our best effort to do something in the past. And so this allows us to reset our own operating system to really reset. I'm starting to see lots of announcements from other people going, oh, I have this way to reset your system. And I kind of look into it and go, nah, they don't really do. They're not really resetting.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I don't think so. So it's a great line that other people are picking up on. But I think I'm hoping that people who would like this kind of a reset will give it a go and try it out and see if you agree, see how it is for you, because this is just a really beginning of a taste of it.
Yes, and I want to add, just for so people know, when they do it continually and often, it doesn't have to be every day, but when you think of it, try it. Um, it helps. In little bits all the time, even if you don't
Yeah.
notice it, even if it's not something that literally uh, changes your whole day. Some days it does, and some
Yeah.
days
Yes.
it's great, and some days it's just a nice calming thing. But I think if done over time, what I've noticed is my general mindset about going through the world on a daily basis has been helped. I there's as you said a little bit ago, just I have more resources to respond to awareness, whether it's maybe a fight or something over there a couple blocks away and I know not to go down there, or if it's frustration of, here in Barcelona we have a lot of tourists, and some days if I've done the wholeness work, I go out and I just look at them and I am curious and I wonder where they're from, and and they don't get to me like they had the day before. you know
Uh-huh.
it's so
That's lovely.
fascinating. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think if I encourage people to pick up the book and do the online class, and if you can join in person, if you can go to one of the destinations, that's
Absolutely.
amazing. um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
how else, what are all the ways people can get it?
I think the main ones, what you said, the easiest, most accessible is start with the book. That you can pick up, you can get it on all the Amazon platforms. You can have it shipped as a print book or get it as an ebook and start exploring today. So that's very easy. And then most people, I did my best to make it really accessible in the book because I realize everyone in the world can use this, and I can't teach everyone in a live class.
Mhm.
So I attempted to make it as accessible as I can in the book. The reality is, though, it's going to be easier and you're likely to get it more completely if you do join one of the classes. So and I have the next live online class comes up. This is in November, and it's very interactive. It's very similar to being there in person because we're responding to each other in real time. It feels like we're in the same room together, the way we do the live online classes. And
Cool.
then if you can't do that, and I have a whole live online series starting in November, going January, February through March. And then so it's kind of there to support people. And we have a whole coaching team. That makes it so that when you run into obstacles and you go, well, it sounded good in the book, but it's just not working right for me, then, with a lot of methods that I've experienced in the past, when that happened, there wasn't really a good recourse. But with wholeness work, there always is a way that when it doesn't work, it always means we need to notice something else. And so I sometimes the people who are going, I read the book, I was in your classes, I'm trying it, and it was working great, except now I'm stuck. So now I'm coming to you as an individual client, and I want to get some one-on-one. And then we find what it is and what
Mhm.
needs to be noticed, how we need to go work it a little differently so that it's always gentle, always kind, always no force. It's always about listening to your system and what your system actually wants, not ever about imposing anything. So a lot of people say, I feel like I'm finally discovering who I really am, and and I like it. I thought I wouldn't like it if I didn't want to know who I really was, because I thought that wouldn't be such a great answer if I found that. But I'm discovering that who I really am is is more wonderful than I would have ever guessed. And that's what people start discovering through this work. And so much more, you know. So did I answer the question? We've got the book, we have the live class, online classes. There's the in-person class that is once a year that I've been
Uh-huh.
doing in Europe each year, in Netherlands recently, and it will be in Germany next year, is the plan. Um, and then probably back to the Netherlands. We will see it all. The and the other thing I want you to know about is the coaching team. We have a growing international team of coaches, and we have just in Europe. The people. The European Wholeness Work Association has been certifying coaches for a while, and now I am starting to do that. And I'm grateful to them because I didn't have the energy and time to do it. And they've been working closely with me on that. Now, finally, we're doing a global certification for wholeness work coaches that is
Great.
going to be even more rigorous because the work. You can tell I'm excited about it, but the work is amazing. The work itself is amazing. Its potential to help people, to heal the planet, to do
Hmm.
so much is really, it's a lot. And so I am grateful to the people coming forward who are going, yes, I want to be part of this team that's doing this work. And they have been getting the training in depth, and there are some really, really good coaches now that are available. And
Cool.
yeah, you can get one-on-one sessions as well as yeah, maybe as well as do whatever fits right for your budget, for your time, for your personal inclination.
Cool. Yes, I strongly encourage everybody. I mean, this is something you can do on your own. Sometimes I do it when I'm just waking up in the morning and I'm laying in bed and it's just a nice peaceful transition from sleep to the
Yeah,
day. But
that's beautiful.
it's really fun to have someone guide you also. So it's a different experience each time. And so I encourage everyone to at least check it out.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and it is really wonderful. I just want to acknowledge that how you have been able to just take it into your own life, into your own practice. It sounds like pretty easily from the after the training, you went to one training and now you can, which is beautiful. So hats off to you.
well, and I did get the book. I've had,
Okay,
a
and the
couple
book.
of the
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So it's an ongoing. It's a practice, and
yeah,
it's something
yeah,
that if I
yeah,
don't do it for a few weeks, I get almost upset with myself. I say, oh, I just need to do it, and then I'll go do it, and I'm like, why do I not do this every day, And then it reminds me that I just need to
yeah.
just make it a practice.
That's wonderful. That
It's
is
really great.
that is what, that is what I encourage people to do. If it fits, to do it as a daily practice, because I think that's the way you get the most benefits. I see that's the way people get the most benefits.
Hmm.
That's how I've gotten the most benefit using it as a daily practice. Whatever happens in my life, it's there for me.
Yeah.
It's there for me. It gives me something that feels very, very nourishing. So at this point, there isn't really any area of my life that this has not touched for the better. And
Cool.
it's not that I'm some major awakened being, or I make no claims to enlightenment. Just to be clear, you know, I'm a normal human being. It's just that I have an easier time moving through life now.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
Mm.
I when I'm directing a movie, I always say, I look at everyone and I say, "Did you know there is no such thing as a problem?" And people look at me sometimes, especially if there's a crisis happening, and I
I
say,
love it.
the only thing that truly exists is our reaction to a situation. And I have been in situations where something unexpected happened, or something was broken, and we couldn't shoot the movie the same way. So I had to say, well, okay, screaming and yelling isn't going to bring the thing back. So let's be resourceful and go over here. And what wholeness work has helped is give me the tools to know how to just move forward, and
That is
continue.
beautiful. I love that example of how you use how this flows into your directing of
Yeah,
films. That's so beautiful. Yeah, and how, that makes life easier for then everybody on your crew. If the
exactly.
director is yelling and screaming and trying to find someone to blame, it's a
Yeah,
lot less fun
yeah.
than that kind of approach you're taking. That's
Yeah,
very
it's very calming and relaxing, and people. That's why people like working with me on movies and things,
yeah.
because
I can imagine.
they've known it's just
Yeah.
you get your work done, but it's fun and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah. Why not have a good time? We're here,
Exactly.
and as you said, problems, quote, I'm going to put that in quote,
Uh-huh.
things, they happen. Things don't go as we planned, as we expected, as we fully had good reason perhaps to expect. And then what do we do? Do we just, life is not better if we go into all kinds of reactions and blame people and so on. It's just like, oh, let's hold the space for this situation now.
Yeah,
Now, what's our best choice forward? Let's brainstorm together. How do we deal with this? We maybe look at how what the way I like to think about it is we hold the space kindly to really explore how did it go haywire? Are there things we can do as a team so that it's more likely to go how we'd like next time? Uh,
yeah,
so what are the lessons that we can take from it? Um, you know, every good problem is a beautiful learning opportunity. It's like, what are the lessons we can take from it? And or sometimes there are no, sometimes it's nothing that we can do any differently. So it's just, a hurricane hit. And so now we need to just
yeah,
maybe we now build in the possibility of hurricanes to the next planning, but how do we kindly move forward?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think
beautiful,
this
beautiful. Okay, yeah,
we could we could talk about it all day long, but
we
I
really could. We could go on. I can see you and I could talk for a long time. Um,
yes,
I
and
want to add. I
yes,
want to add a long time one thought to this too. Um, and that is, as you know, Steve, but not necessarily all our listeners know, related to wholeness work is the method called core transformation. That's the method I developed earlier, and it is in itself quite a profound method. And I'm raising it because when people if someone is working with an intense trauma response and or yeah, well, let's just stay with that. So, someone is working with an intense trauma response. I really encourage them then to start with core transformation because that will be a really kind, gentle, easy way. It'll kind of hold you in a kind embrace as you work through that and
hmm
heal that. And then you'll be more ready to get more out of wholeness work. People can start with, including people who've had trauma. I mean, who hasn't had some kind of trauma? But some of us had more trauma with a capital T, and even then, it's possible to start with wholeness work as long as you're processing other experiences, but to actually process the trauma, that it's important to start with core transformation and or some specific trauma method, but core transformation is what I recommend.
cool. Well, and I think it's good to do it again. It's both core transformation and wholeness work aren't you go study the thing and then you know it and you're done. Because they are both practices of experience. And so I encourage people, even if they have read the book, to pick it up again and read it again, or to go to the class again, or to, just keep doing it, because it's always an evolution, is the word I would use, of our beings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's partly why I keep teaching because, and some of the students are coming, there are people who've gone through 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And it's not because they were slow learners or didn't get it the first time. It's that they liked what they got and they want more.
hmm Yes,
They want to
absolutely.
keep developing more. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Connirae. It has been a total pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Steve. Total pleasure for me to have this conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, Connirae Andreas. To learn more about the Wholeness Work, visit thewholenesswork.org.
Tune in next time for more Filmmaking Confidential. It is totally free to subscribe, and when you subscribe, you'll get upcoming new episodes automatically, and you'll have free access to all our past shows. The Filmmaking Confidential podcast is a production of Dakanga Audio and produced by myself and Ella Spencer. Our original theme music is composed by Kevin Robles. I'm Steve Balderson. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep making, keep doing, keep going.